Hi guys! Today I'm going to show you how to make Gandalf the Grey hat. It can also be used to make a witch hat or a sorting hat from Harry Potter. You'll get all the information you need on the description box down below as well. First of all, you need your head measurements. To that you're going to add a few inches, and that's because we are going to play a bit around with the pattern. If you do intend to wear a wig with your hat, take that in consideration. Alright, so we are going to make a circle. The circumference of that circle is going to be your head measurements plus the few inches. I'm going to put the formula to calculate the radius on the screen. Next you need to decide how deep your brim is going to be. Decided to make mine 5 inches, and that's going to include seam allowance. The next step is just to make a bigger circle around the first one accordingly. You're going to find yourself with a donut shape, and all you need to do is cut this shape out and don't forget to cut the inside. Now you should have a donut shape, but if you leave it that way it's going to be too big on your head and it's going to lay flat. So we are going to give it a bit of shape. You're going to slice it up on one side and start playing around just like I'm doing so on the screen. That is going to give it a cone shape, so it's going to be a lot more natural and a lot more realistic, and also it's going to fit a lot better on your head. Don't be afraid to play around until you're happy with the fit. That is an important step since it's going to play around on the overall shape of your hat. Once you're happy with it, just cut it up. Next, put the two sides on top of each other, the seam allowance overlapping each other, and just double check that your circle is still complete there, that you don't have little pointy bits or stuff like that. It's going to help you out with your sewing later and make it look more beautiful. Next you're going to take a large piece of paper and you're going to put it on the fold, just like so. The folded line there is going to be your center front. Next step is to decide on how long you want your hat to be. Mine is going to be 21 inches, and that's including seam allowance. Next you're going to make the curve for your cone. You're going to take one of those markings as your starting point. The radius you're going to use is going to be the hat length. For me, it's 21 inches, for you it might be a bit different. I'm going to use my measuring tape to do the curve since I have a hole on the top of it and makes it really good for those type of project. Otherwise, a piece of string would just work fine. I'm just going to tape it at the other side and put my Sharpie through the hole at the marking and then swing it around, and it's going to give me a curve. So now we need to complete the cone. So for that you need your brim pattern, and you're going to measure the inside circle. You're going to divide that measurement by 2, and that's going to tell you where to stop on the curve. All you need to do now is to connect the 2 dots and you have a cone pattern. Technically you can be done. So if you keep your cone pattern that way, it's going to lay straight on your head, and it would look more aesthetically pleasing if it was tilting towards the back, just like so. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. In order to do that we need to drop the center front slightly. So I'm going to drop it by maybe a centimeter and a half. The more you're going to drop it, and the more dramatic the effect's going to be. From that new marking you need to make a curve that is going to blend into the one already existing. Little tip: if you want it to be really round, start at the center front by a perpendicular line. That way you're sure it's going to stay round. And all you need to do is redraw a new curve that is going to blend into the one that is already there. Once you're happy with it, your pattern is done. Now it's time to start putting it together. I'm going to start it with the outer layer. So I'm having my cone shape and my brim, and I'm going to connect them together, right sides together. As you can see, I didn't fuse the brim piece on this one, and I should have, because it gave me more hat shape than I needed to, so I would advise you to do so. Don't be afraid to use a lot of pins to put it in place, since it's 2 curves going in different directions going together. You can do the same with your lining and use your brim fabric. As you can see, I'm using 2 outer pieces for the brim because it's going to be visible even from the inside. Now you're going to iron your pieces. Make sure you press your seam allowance towards the cone. Also, you need to clip your seam allowance. That's going to help out with the bulk later on, and also make sure you don't cut through the sewing line. So now you're going to put the two sides together. Make sure you're matching the seams at the brim and make sure you put them right sides together. And then we are going to sew it all along the edge. We are going to do the same with the lining, except we are going to leave a hole within the lining so we can turn the work right side out later on. If you're familiar with bag making, we are going to make the hat the same way as the bag. So once it's sewn, you can trim the seam allowance at the point to help with bulk, and then you can turn the outer layer right side out. You can use a pencil to help you out with the pointy bit. So now your outer layer should be right side out and your lining should be wrong side out, just like so. Now you're going to put your outside or your outer layer inside your lining. It might be a bit confusing, but it will make sense later on. You're going to match the seams at the brim. If you want to help with bulk, you can turn each seam in different directions, so it will help out with it. Make sure they match though. Then you can pin the two brims in place and you can sew them together. Once your brims are sewn together, you're going to clip your seam allowance. Make sure you don't cut through your sewing line. That is going to help relieve bulk and make sure your two brims are sitting on top of each other very nicely. If you don't, you're going to have a very wobbly kind of mess. Next, you're going to pull your outer layer from the opening. Just be gentle on it and take your time. Once you pull the outside of your hat from the lining, you can push the lining back inside it. So now you need to give it a good press and then top stitch them together so it won't move. But if you want to keep the two brims from separating, just like I'm showing you, you can actually make a few stitches all around the base where the brim is meeting the cone. All you need to do is do your stitches to go through the two layers of the fabric, and on the outside make sure it goes into the seam, just like so. This step is optional, but it will help keeping everything together. So now we need to give the hat a bit more shape, and we're going to do that with a bit of stitching. I'm going to put my hand inside the hat between the two layers, and I used a picture to help me out. And all I do is pinch the fabric where I want my shaping to be, and I'm making sure that the two seams are matching each other. And then put a few stitches and cut my thread. And I'm going to repeat that process on wherever I want the stitching to go on my hat. Alright, so you're nearly done with your hat, but because it's such a long hat, it's going to need a bit of help. And since we don't use wiring or anything, I'm going to stuff it actually with some pillowcase stuffing. And between the two layers, through your opening, you're going to stuff your hat. Just go little by little and don't stuff it too much, since your head is going to play a big part on how the space inside your hat is going to be filled up. But as long as the opening is not closed, you can play around with it. Once you're happy enough with it, all you need to do is close the opening. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you found it helpful. You can always subscribe to the Craftgyver channel if you want to see more videos, and give me a thumbs up if you think the video is worthy. You can always leave me a comment down below or on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.